The election is on. Thank you for your question. Look forward to answering.
Welcome to the 5-8, where we discuss each of the week's 5 most fucked up topics for 8 minutes and only 8 minutes each. We got 5 topics. We got 8 minutes. We got 2 hosts. We got 1 guest tonight, a very good one. A little singing, a lot of curse words. No singing tonight. A lot of curse words and as many cocktails as we deem necessary. LB.
Oh, thank God.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Having a little cocktail tonight.
Good.
Which wasn't the plan, but a little bit made its way in there. Because we got to tell everybody what happened.
I was going to save it, but you're going to come in hot tonight.
I'm coming in hot.
You know why we know you're coming in hot?
The fire extinguisher just went off and blew all over my house and all over me.
Yes, that's why.
This happened. It was like a cartoon. I've never seen it do that before. I didn't know how to undo it. It went everywhere. I can't believe we're on air. Hi, everybody. I'm a little disorganized because I just got a full face of fire extinguisher.
The thing that sucks about this is that the camera was not on and I didn't.
Oh my God. If the camera went on, you would be dead. We wouldn't be able to do the show.
No, I know. So was it actually like airborne?
Yes.
Like,
No. I plume and it was like and going off everywhere because I didn't realize it was under the chair because it's by the fireplace. And as I moved the chair, I set it off.
Okay.
It's a disaster down there. We're not
fire safety is no joke, and we're happy that that your equipment works.
My equipment works.
It's good. We had a great show last week. We talked about a lot of things, but we also didn't talk about a lot of things. So we're going to talk about some things that we didn't talk about, and because this was a weird week. I have a joke though that I wrote. I'm going to share. It's not really a joke. It's just a line, which is this. You heard what happened to this Matt Schlapp guy, right?
Yeah.
Matt Schlapp. Yeah. He must not like his Mercedes automatic because he kept reaching for the stick.
Oh,
get it? Because his wife's name is.
I get it.
You get it. Okay.
That's a good one. There've been many today. That's probably the top of the list. That's a great one.
Yeah.
Also, he assaulted that man.
He did.
He assaulted him.
He did.
This whole party just assaults.
Yeah, it's basically what they do. Yeah,
that's what they do. They're assaulters.
Also, he's a fucking hypocrite because these are really, really anti-gay people. They're homophobes. They're professional homophobes.
Mm-hmm.
And what are you doing, man? Just deal with your shit and stop, foisting your own self-hatred on everybody else. Come on.
Just take care of yourself. Like, do some self-reflection. My pit bull does more self-reflection than Matt Schlapp. She'll lay in front of the mirror and just take some time every day, just a solid 5 to 10 minutes, and self-reflect.
Yeah.
I don't, usually that's a surefire way to find a sexual deviant and an assaulter is we start homophobe lane and it's very difficult to feel sorry for the wife. I'm sorry.
Oh, I don't feel sorry for her at all.
No.
We should say that this is alleged. It's alleged that this happened because, someone would surely make this up to be in the news, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who doesn't
Okay.
want this
Where
story?
there's smoke, there's fire, and when there's fire, there's a fire extinguisher.
Fire
Is what we've
extinguisher.
learned. Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
put on black, and the fire extinguisher is gonna hit you right in the face. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. So
All righty then. All right. So I kind of want to jump right in. Can we just jump right in?
we can jump right in. Yeah.
All right.
Let's
Do you
jump
want
right
to
in.
talk about what you're drinking? Because it looked a little different. Are you
Um,
back to your Manhattan?
I'm back to my Manhattans. I
Okay.
can't really. I'm still, I'm still a little COVIDy, so I'm going to apologize up front if I look a little tired. I know last week I was a little tired.
You were pretty
By like
sick.
45 minutes in, I was like, oh boy.
Yeah.
But the show must go on. Damn it.
Show's
And
going on.
the show goes on. And my wife gave me these new, slightly smaller
Perfect.
glasses, which are actually better for Manhattans than
Yeah.
martinis. So I
That's
wanted
correct.
to, and I was like, should I make a hot toddy? Should I? I'm like, fuck this shit. Just having.
Just
Why
have
am I?
it.
Why am I overthinking this?
Let's say the fifth. Let's plead the fifth, like John
Fifth.
Eastman.
Fifth. Charlie Kirk. How old are you? I plead the fifth. Yeah.
He did.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
He did.
more stuff that we didn't get to cover, right? All those transcripts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, let's dive into this though, because I want to get to our guests too.
Me too.
And let's do our two. I mean, everybody knows what the big topics are.
Yeah.
Get us going, Greg Olear. What are we
Okay.
looking
Topic
at
number
here?
one. I changed the topic titles. They're all REM songs for some reason because I'm COVIDy and I needed to amuse myself. Exhuming McCarthy. Topic number one. As you know, I had kind of a weird week, a rough week, a sad week. So I was really out of the news loop this week.
Yeah.
And the news was good to me because fucking nothing happened this week. Because all anybody's doing or talking about are these fucking traitors who cannot even elect a Speaker of the House. I recorded my intro to my podcast on Tuesday, and I joked in it, well, when you listen to this, it'll be Friday, but maybe we'll even have a Speaker of the House by then. Yuck, yuck. And Friday morning came. It's now Friday evening. We still don't have one. This Kevin McCarthy guy is such a repulsive fucking traitor, okay? That's the first thing that we need to get out here. He knew damn well all the shit with Trump and Russia and all this stuff. He knew it in 2015.
That's right.
He's on a recording talking about it, joking about it. He was there during the insurrection. He knows he's a high-ranking guy on the House. He knows where all the fucking bodies are buried. And how many weeks after the goddamn insurrection, he goes to Kenosha and makes the pilgrimage to, that's another REM song, the pilgrimage to Mar-a-Lago to kiss the ring, proverbially. Maybe I don't know what the fuck he did or what went on there. That's disgusting. That's a disgrace.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. And this guy is going to be the fucking second away from the president. This traitor. I mean, there's no other way to say it. He's a fucking traitor. So now this whole thing, and I get that it's funny and haha, Republicans in disarray, Ted Lieu and his popcorn, whatever. Okay, I get it. It is funny on some level, but it ain't funny. We don't have a functioning government right now because the same fucking assholes on in the House that abetted the insurrection 2 years ago to the day are still abetting an insurrection now by trying to just fuck up the workings of government. That's all this is about. He's going to become the speaker anyway, probably tonight, right? And this is all a week of bullshit. For what purpose? So Matt Gaetz, who fucking credibly accused of sex trafficking with vintage 99 high school girl that he transported across state lines with his repulsive, sick buddy, Joel Greenberg. This guy and Bobo, Bobo, who married her high school boyfriend who whipped his junk out at a fucking bowling alley to show his tattoo to a high school girl. This is the people now that are putting the monkey wrench in this. And the media, I don't think they know how to process it. But the way to process it is these are all fucking traitors.
That's
I don't care about the counts. They're traitors. And what they're doing now is making the country weaker. And when McCarthy goes in there, I don't know enough about parliamentary procedure and all this. When he goes in there, whatever concessions he's given to this gaggle of just Russian up traitors is going to make the country weaker. Dave Troy has been yelling for months about this debt ceiling thing. And that's exactly what's going to fucking happen now. It's exactly what's going to happen. And nobody's talking about it. Nobody's doing anything. It's just, I don't know.
They're in rapture of a vote. And because Steve Kornacki gets to go on the board and
fucking
give us
cares?
blow by blow. It's like it's sports time. It's sports hour.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I think the whole delay all week, I tweeted out this theory of like, this is all about, there's an undercurrent. Yes, of Gates is horrible and whatever, but there does seem to be an undercurrent of, we're going to do this so that on January 6th, this is what people are talking about instead of,
Yeah.
the insurrection and the anniversary of J6, and then it'll be a kumbaya moment, and they're all cheering each other as they flip and turn, as if that's this great act of patriotism. Let's all stand up because so it's just horseshit. I mean, the whole thing and exasperating. And I mean, this is what we knew this was coming for at least 2 years. I'm sorry. I do blame the Americans that put these people in. It's
Yeah.
not, and we can roll back and say, well, they've been, radicalized and their brains have been scrambled and they're listening to puppets. Well, okay, but they watch the insurrection too. And it's, there's a willful, this is
Ignorant.
willful.
Yeah.
It's a willful, and also we want our people in there because we want them disrupting, because we hate the government, and let's just tear it down. And it's just really disappointing that, enough Americans are so invested in that they'll send Mr. Alleged sex trafficker and Bobo with the husband with the popo right into office. Like, this is what the clown show is what they want. So it's disheartening. I also, I don't know if anybody else is feeling this way. I don't want to know this much about what's going on.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch C-SPAN. I don't. And I just am really longing for the days where it was like, regardless of, who's in office and whatever, at least it was Americans doing the work for in the interest of America, even if I disagreed with it. That's just not what we're dealing with here.
No,
We're
it's
really just not dealing with that. And you're right, it doesn't get covered. It's just not getting covered appropriately. You don't platform Loan Beaubert, and you don't make an argument for why it's not platforming her to have her on your big news hour on the cable newscast. It's just, these people are liars and they're thieves and they're about to steal. They're going to use that debt ceiling, and they've articulated this plan very clearly. People just aren't paying attention that they're going to use it to completely sort of bankrupt or defund Social Security and Medicare. And that is going to just harm so many Americans. And if they do it in the creative ways they're talking about doing it, it doesn't have anything to do with the Senate, and it doesn't have anything to do with Joe Biden. And I got a little lecture from people. I got a little Schoolhouse Rock lecture on, like, that's not how, and we're not talking about laws. We're talking about them fucking around with the budget and the debt ceiling and doing it in so money going in to these programs that Americans depend on for their lives, to turn on their heat, to have food when they go to the grocery store, to have medical care when they're so ill. So save up, everybody. Make room for grandma. She's moving in.
Wait, did you start the clock?
I did.
Okay. How much time do we have?
30 seconds.
Okay. I wrote this in my 23 villains for 23, and I'm going to say Kevin McCarthy will make us hearken back to the golden age of GOP speakers, where the worst that could be said about them was that they were a pedophile. That's it. He's that level bad. He's the damage wrought here is going to be off the fucking charts. It's really terrifying. So.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, moving on.
Moving on.
Our guest is waiting. We want to bring her on.
I do. I'm going to start the next thing right away. This is going to be kind of short because I had a whole thing I wanted to do. I was going to go through a thought process. I'm in front of my fire. I was going to do a little flyer side kind of moment. And then I saw Adam Schiff on Nicole Wallace today, and I went ahead and transcribed what he had to say. He's going to be kicked off that intelligence committee. We know this. And so this is a man who had his hands on all the intelligence. He led The impeachment investigation into Ukraine. He led 2 impeachment trials. He knows more about what's going on with the criminal activity of the former president and the gaggle of people around him from beginning to end of that presidency, including reaching back into the campaign starting in 2015, than anybody else. He does. And he knows more about what the criminality and the pacing of the Department of Justice and what that all means. And he knows what he's talking about when he's looking at. So I just want to read what Adam Schiff had to say today so that we all don't feel like we're going crazy. Because there's a part of this that just, again, the gaslighting ourselves where we watch something, we know, we see the criminality, and it's going to make you feel like you're going crazy. So let's listen to this former prosecutor and the man who knows more than anyone. Nicole Wallace asked him, why hasn't there been any action from the Department of Justice? And she was basically saying in the 2 years since the insurrection, during which the January 6th committee was formed and concluded. So she had a little more to say and all that, but that was the gist of it. And this end of the question was in terms of holding, quoting, in terms of holding Donald Trump and his inner circle legally, criminally responsible. Adam Schiff answers. He has a little preamble about, well, you know, they're not going to tell me at Congress, but this is what I have to say about it, basically. So he said, while they, the Department of Justice, move with alacrity against those who broke into the building and assaulted police officers that day, they were very slow to work against the ringleaders, very slow to work against the multiple lines of effort that didn't involve explicitly the violence of that day, but involved the president. On the phone with the Secretary of State in Georgia, basically demanding that he find 11,780 votes that didn't exist, and other lines of effort to overturn the election. Slow in even just beginning to investigate. This is what he's saying. There's no reason, back to the quote, there's no reason why Congress should have finished its investigation before the Justice Department that can move so much more quickly, that can enforce its subpoenas so much more easily than we can. But I do think that the caution of the department is in part a response to Bill Barr's terrible politicization of the department and a desire to avoid controversy and to move away from any suggestion that it was following in that terrible model. But taken to an extreme, that caution becomes a form of immunity for the former president and his enablers. And that, to me, is the far greater danger. And he emphasized that, far greater danger to our democracy at this point. Yes, prosecuting a former president is unprecedented, but so were the crimes committed by this president. And not prosecuting when the evidence supports it is, I think, a far greater danger to our country. End quote. I honestly have nothing more to add to that. It's everything we've been screaming about.
Yep.
Yeah. And so we'll leave it with him with 3 minutes and 45 seconds.
That's good. We want to bring it. Okay. But now, as we said, LB, a lot did happen while we were away on vacation, which was before last week. Then we had the big show last week, and there was a lot of things that happened that we didn't talk about.
A lot of things we didn't get to.
One of the things was Ginny Thomas, wife of Clarence Thomas and insurrectionist cheerleader. The J6 committee released, which a lot of people didn't think was going to happen, but they did. They released the transcript of her interview with the committee, and you somehow, through your sources, managed to get a tape of this.
I got a tape and some notes.
And some notes.
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right, let's roll it.
And now for a dramatic reading.
I understand that you have a statement that you'd like to read into the record before we go ahead and start. So if you'd like to go ahead and do that. Okay. Thank you, counsel.
First, I just want to thank the committee for your patience as I recovered from my hip replacement surgery and your patience of scheduling this. Second, I'm here voluntarily to answer questions about my activities regarding the 2020 election, which I think you'll find were minimal and mainstream. However, as my counsel has expressed, I am concerned that there may be more than a few questions about my husband's work, which I do not believe is within the scope of this committee's jurisdiction. Since I was the Nebraska College Republican chair in my 20s, not in the 20s, long before I met my husband in 1986, I have been active in political and public policy work. Moreover, while I have a law degree, I am not licensed to practice law, nor have I ever practiced law, nor have I worked on any litigation at the Supreme Court or any court for that matter. I work only in the political lane. As Justice Breyer just said last week, it is 2022, and women have professional and separate careers from their judicial spouses, and I appreciated that. Since my husband became a judge in 1990, my husband has only worked in the legal arena, not politics. I can guarantee that my husband has never spoken to me about pending cases in the court. It's an ironclad rule in our house. Additionally, he's uninterested in politics, and I generally don't discuss with him my day-to-day work in politics, the topics I'm working on, who I'm calling, who I'm emailing, who I'm texting, or who I'm meeting. Regarding the 2020 election, I did not speak with him at all about the details of my volunteer campaign activities, and I did not speak with him at all about the details of my post-election activities, which were minimal in any event. I am certain I never spoke with him about any of the legal challenges to the 2020 election, as I was not involved in those challenges in any way. And I do know he was completely unaware of the texts that I had with Mark Meadows until this committee leaked them to the press while my husband was in a hospital bed in March fighting an infection. Let me also add, it's laughable for anyone who knows my husband to think I could influence his jurisprudence. The man is independent and stubborn, with strong character traits of independence and integrity. And I'm now happy to answer any of your questions. Thank you very much.
Bravo!
Hey,
Bravo! Well done.
Ginny.
Well done.
that's
Alert
the
the Academy.
transcript.
Alert the
I-
Academy.
Elliptic. That's the actual transcript.
Oh my God.
She wrote that out. I don't know what to
Which
say.
were minimal. They were minimal.
Minimal and mainstream.
It's all Arrested Development. It's just a little
Mainstream
light
beliefs.
treason. It's just a little light treason. I'm going to commend us. We're really close to on schedule today.
Yes.
That
Goodbye.
shows how much we love our guest, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love our guest.
Who is, see, this is now, I have a little bit of the brain fog here.
Okay.
I think she's now a member of I think it's the White House Press Association. Is that what it is? The White House Press Association?
It's something fancy.
She's
I
going to
don't
tell
know.
me. It's something cool that I was like, this is amazing. And then but she's legit, man. She's a former government employee who was a victim of Trump's pettiness and dickishness. She knows the difference between fusion and fission. So when that cool science thing happened last week, she could credibly explain it.
Yeah.
She's the head of the MSW podcast network.
Founder and creator.
What I'm on. Which is what I'm on. Yeah.
You're on that.
She's the host of the Daily Beans, Mueller, She Wrote, and the new podcast about special counsel called Jack. Allison Gill, welcome.
Allison Gill! Yay!
How are you?
Hello, my friends. I'm gonna pick a bone with Adam Schiff in a minute, but how are you?
we didn't do that to set you up with Adam Schiff, but
Yeah.
but the is it the what are you a member of? Is it the press? I can't remember, or did I just I dreamt this and it's not?
It's the White House Correspondents Association.
That's what it is. I was
That's it.
close.
So you're going to the dinner.
Nerd prom. Here I come.
Nerd prom.
Mhm.
Wow. Okay. It's very cool. I think it's and deserved and all the stuff. And when you were there during the J6 hearings, and I saw you on TV. Like that's like when you think about where you were when this all started to get to that place, I think it's
Just call me Virginia Slim because we come a long way, baby.
Yeah, but also well deserved because you know everything that's going on. Like I rely on you to explain
That's right.
everything that's going on. So you can talk about Schiff if you want to, but I was going to pivot into saying that something that Merrick Garland did do was appoint the new special counsel.
Right.
You guys.
Jack Smith.
And
What we want is an update on this.
we want to
The podcast is really good, and you're working with people on this podcast who are like, legit people that know stuff. Like you've got, McCabe is on there, Weissman has been on there. These are people who know things. So, and things, and we're just watching stuff, trying to read the tea leaves here. So,
I drink and I know things.
And
Yeah.
what are you drinking? What's tonight?
El Ferme. It's a rosé with a chicken on the front. I like chickens.
Oh, a rosé
Okay.
with a chicken. Okay, so cheers. First of all,
Cheers.
Happy New
Cheers,
Year.
Happy New Year.
I love seeing you flyer side.
Oh yeah, here I am.
remember.
I'm back,
I
baby.
remember when I said you should do flyer side chats, and you're like, I'm on it.
I'm on it. Okay,
So-
so
Let me open up this Jack conversation with addressing some concerns from Adam Schiff, who should know this. He asks why the Department of Justice had to wait for the committee to be finished with its work. First of all, they didn't wait to do their own investigations. They certainly waited to bring any charges, right? Because those haven't happened yet for the Trump and the inner circle. And I'll get to that in a second. But we know way back before any of the committee hearings that they had gotten through probable cause and search warrants, all of the emails. Remember the committee was battling the Eastman emails all the way up until a few months ago. They had them all already. And they also had all the emails and communications from Ken Klukowski and Jeffrey Clark. And way back in May, they had the Department of Justice investigatory team asked the Department of Justice filter team, because those are lawyers, right? You got to filter the shit out, make sure that it's not subject to attorney-client privilege. They said, hey, could you prioritize all the communications between Clark, Eastman, and Klukowski with a guy named Rep. Scott Perry, please, and give us all that information? And they did. And the filter team went through the Perry stuff, found out what was covered by privilege and what wasn't, and handed all that over to the DOJ investigatory team. And then the DOJ investigatory team whipped up an affidavit and went to a court and said, we have probable cause to believe there is evidence of crimes committed on Representative Scott Perry's phone. We need a search warrant to seize it. And they got it. So that's just a tiny little look, because all that was recently unsealed, because the courts like to be transparent after a certain amount of time. So we know that they've been working on stuff. And I know that that's this year. And of course, this thing happened 2 years ago, but to get to that point even can take a while, especially considering the Republicans in Congress were stonewalling the ability to appoint a U.S. attorney for the District of Columbia. He didn't get there until November of 2021.
Right.
So Adam Schiff knows this. The reason they have to wait to get all of the transcripts, and the DOJ has been asking for these transcripts, and the committee's like, well, we're not gonna. They know that they need those transcripts, and they know that they need that underlying evidence, not because they don't want to get that evidence themselves, and not because they don't want to do those grand jury interviews themselves. But if you remember a little trial brought by a guy named Durham, who was investigating the oranges of the Russia investigation.
Bull Durham.
the origins.
the oranges. He indicted a fellow named Michael Sussman, who was a lawyer for the Hillary Clinton campaign.
Right.
And his one witness was a fellow named Jim Baker, who had a meeting. And his indictment was that Sussman lied to Jim Baker. Well, Jim Baker had testimony that he had given to the Inspector General, testimony that he had given to Congress, and testimony that he had given to Durham's grand jury. And those three testimonies didn't match. And that made him an easily impeachable witness. And Michael Sussman was acquitted. The reason you need the transcripts of what these people, especially the fraudulent electors and people involved in the fraudulent elector scheme, the testimony they gave Congress and the testimony that they gave the Inspector General, because if you remember, the Inspector General of the Department of Justice opened investigations into January 6th a week after January 6th happened. You have to make sure that those testimonies are consistent, because if they are not, then your witness could be impeached on the stand and you could lose your trial and the person could be acquitted. There was also a couple of things that had to happen with regards to making executive privilege fights, which are still going on under seal behind closed doors. You have to resolve those. Another thing that has not yet been resolved that has to be resolved before they bring charges is the fact that one judge out of 19, a guy named Judge Nichols, decided that you cannot bring an 18 title U.S. Code 1512C2 charge, obstructing an official proceeding, because that only applies to documents, because the DOJ is misunderstanding the word otherwise in the statute. Jack Smith, the new special counsel, knows from experience when he prosecuted a guy named Governor McConnell, and he got a conviction, and it was overturned by SCOTUS for misinterpreting a word in the statute. So he has to wait until he gets a SCOTUS decision on that one Judge Nichols decision to not be able to bring 1512C2. He cannot charge Trump with that until he knows the Supreme Court will uphold that ruling.
Well, okay, so what is that? What is 1512C? What you throw, the numbers are a blur to me, right?
Obstructing an official proceeding.
Obstructing it, but what does that have to do with the Georgia? Going ahead and investigating what Trump was doing in Georgia.
We'll get to Georgia in a second, because the Georgia is part of the fraudulent elector scheme. And trying to get Georgia to overthrow their electors and put forth a fraudulent slate of electors is obstructing an official proceeding.
Okay.
Yeah. So if they want to bring that case, they have to resolve this with the Supreme Court. Otherwise, they could face it being
with the Supreme Court, our big court,
yes.
Not a local Supreme, not a state Supreme Court, but yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. So,
and right now it's in the DC Circuit Court of Appeals.
Good luck to us.
It's in the DC Circuit Court of Appeals. SCOTUS will uphold it. Everybody is worried about how SCOTUS will rule on these things, but SCOTUS has ruled 100% against Donald Trump at every step of the way.
Okay.
But that has to be resolved too, and Adam Schiff knows that too. So I understand the impatience, but I wanted to address those things. And we also can't charge him on the document stuff until we get the non-classified stuff back from Judge Deary, which I assume they've recently did, but they had to go to the 11th Circuit to get that done too. And the reason you cannot charge for the classified documents without getting the non-classified documents is because you have to prove possession of the classified documents, and the non-classified documents commingled with the classified documents is evidence of possession.
Okay, so that's a good pivot, because that's actually what I really wanted you on here, because I always want you on, but I feel like in the holiday haze and in the pacing of everything, and in the switching over of the government and all of these other great big stories and the mushy muddle of everything, that some stuff has been collapsed around what Jack Smith was actually brought on to do, and what we can expect from him. Because it's like, he's going to get Trump all the way back from the Mueller stuff. It's like, I don't think so. Since that is your podcast right now, and you guys are focusing on that, if you could help condense for us, like, just the basics of what was Jack brought on to do, and what can we expect from him, and what do we not, what sort of needs to happen if it is going to go into other territories of his investigation? Because is it narrow like what Mueller was? That just those basics for everybody as a reminder.
And before you start, the title of the first episode of Jack is The Scope, right?
The Scope.
Yeah. So what's the scope? Just condense that for us.
I will condense it. I will condense it for you. He was brought on to look at the January 6th insurrection, right?
He was. Okay. I thought it
Yeah.
was Greg and I had debated about this because I thought it was just the classified documents.
Okay, now we're even for the beer that I owed you when Beto lost. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. All
So
right.
January 6th, everything surrounding January 6th, except the boots on the ground, that stays with the DC U.S. Attorney's Office.
Okay.
And the seditious conspiracy all the way up to the Proud Boys, right?
Okay.
And the Oath Keepers.
So Trump and the inner circle of enablers and all of what Adam Schiff, and I did like his language around these other lanes of effort. There are these lines of effort that didn't have anything to do with the crimes committed at the Capitol by the people breaking in. Even though it was all part of a great, big, huge plan, not those crimes, other crimes that were afoot that were about overturning the election results.
Yeah. So with regard to 1-6, he's looking at the fraudulent elector scheme. He's looking at the Georgia call. He's looking at the Pence pressure campaign. He's looking at whether or not he was involved in inciting the insurrection, which I think he clearly was. Whether he was involved in the conspiracy of sedition with the Proud Boys, if there's a direct link between him and the Willard War Room and Bannon and the Proud Boys.
I feel like that link has got a name and it's Roger Stone, but it just could be me.
He's got to find that evidence, and they're not going to be forthcoming. It's going to be like a Manafort shit show.
Yeah.
And they couldn't charge Manafort because he was so obstruction-y.
They did write down their plans though in a little folder with the front page saying, "Read carefully."
Don't tell anyone.
Don't tell anyone, and read the instructions carefully.
So that, and then the documents, the Mar-a-Lago documents, and obstruction of justice, which can also include obstructing the January 6th Select Committee. And there's no Rod Rosenstein here to land the plane, so there's no curtailing. This is a very broad scope of things that he can investigate. He can obviously make the decision if he thinks that he finds something like, let's say he finds that Sidney Powell's PAC defrauded donors. He might refer that over to the DC U.S. Attorney's Office and say, you do this part, and I'll do these things. And that's up to him. And Garland has said, even though Garland has final say in whatever Jack Smith brings forward, Garland has said, I will take whatever recommendations he brings. And so I take him at his word. Why he didn't give him full power of an attorney general like Comey did with Fitzpatrick back when they were investigating Scooter Libby, I'll never know. But he wanted to maintain some modicum of control. Maybe he wants the collar for himself. I don't really know. But there was a lot of critics saying, "Oh, you've punted it. You're a pussy. You can't do this yourself." And so he didn't want to let it go completely. Maybe that's why that's all speculation. So that's his charge. That's his scope. It's very broad, and he's brought in some incredible people. We've just found out today or yesterday. I think it was today.
I think it was today. Yeah.
That he's brought in additional people to help him that have been on the road with him at the Eastern District of New York and the Public Integrity Unit and also The Hague, which gives him a very unique perspective.
I love The Hague. Every time somebody says The Hague with this guy, it lights me up inside.
Me too. But he's very aggressive.
Yeah.
And I think something something we'll see. And what's great about a special counsel is if they just decline to prosecute someone, they have to tell Congress by law, by regs.
Right. We didn't get told why there was a declination to prosecute for the 10 counts of obstruction of justice. Did we?
We did when we got the rest of that Barr memo that the judge wanted to be released. It was all BS. But it made it very difficult for Merrick Garland to pick up and run with those charges because a previous attorney general had decided that even if he weren't a sitting president, we would decline to prosecute based on this and this and this. And they were
based on a memo.
But don't confuse it with like the Office of Legal Counsel memo to not indict a sitting president. This was a deliberative memo. This was a deliberative process decision.
Okay.
That was made. It's not based on the memo is irrelevant. It's what Bill Barr decided. And Bill Barr, as a prosecutor, has prosecutorial discretion about whether or not he's going to prosecute something. And generally, whether you're a good guy or a bad guy, the next person who comes in tends to not overturn those prosecutorial discretion decisions. It's
This
just,
this is the problem that I'm having.
Yeah.
With this. It's like with the Supreme Court. Like, we don't do that. We do stare decisis, and we're fine with it. When they get into power, they just do whatever the fuck they want, and they just blow up any semblance of precedent or anything else. So, I don't know.
but Merrick Garland was brought in to bring back the independence and trustworthiness and all that other stuff, and to blow it up and go against what your predecessor did is a bad precedent, even if it's the correct precedent.
I don't know.
I know that you
I don't
disagree
know.
with it, but
Yeah.
there's
I
also
don't mean to. I don't mean to.
guys,
Yeah.
he would have gotten literally 0 jail time for that obstruction. So there's
I want him to. Okay, so
But there's a discourse issue that is just as imperative to, for instance, we have a Congress formation that I don't know that we would have had if we had been able to have different conversations. It's difficult because I do think that our fourth estate is so broken in terms of what they're willing to discuss and how they frame things and what they run with, and that they just run with talking points, that to the degree that all three of us, this was not our careers. This is not what any of us thought we would be doing, but there was a clear void that needed to be filled. And so we filled it. And it's still not filled. We just are doing our part in the best way we know how.
Doing the best we can. Yeah, we're screaming at
We're
the top
doing the
of our
best we
lungs.
can. Holy shit. Yeah.
Okay, so and we don't want to be, the arguments about ultimately it comes down to, are they going to indict the guy? If Trump and his circle get indicted, we'll all shut up about Merrick Garland. We really will. But
and
here's
I
my
don't
question.
get much about Merrick Garland too. It's like no one's bashing him. It's just like it's about.
Well, there are people bashing him.
Not here.
Right.
It's
not
about. We need to see the gas
Teasing,
pedal be
not
depressed
bashing.
a little bit. Back to our car metaphor, since we're talking about cars.
True, but I have said, show me a coup investigation that has taken less than 2 years.
Okay, but okay.
Said from the jump.
Sometimes we need them.
You did. You've been very consistent. You listened to the Watergate timeline and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
So okay, but here's my question. Okay, the documents.
That's right.
I get all of the stuff that takes time. The documents to me are a godsend because, and not just me, lawyers that I know are like, this is easy shit.
Yeah,
like
well, if you read
he
the
stole something.
memo.
He took it. He wasn't allowed to take it. He took it, and they
then he
found
lied
him.
about it.
Yeah, that's it. So, what do you think? Like, do you think this is going to happen? Like, what's your sense of Jack Smith?
Well,
like, what are we waiting for? And I don't mean that to be like dickish or like that he's never going to act.
No,
I do think that he is. What do you think the timeline is going to be with that specific thing? Because if I'm him, I nail him for that first, because that's the easiest thing to explain to a jury, right?
Well,
I don't know.
I asked several folks. I asked Andy McCabe. I asked Chuck Rosenberg, who's a little more conservative than we are on the institutionalism. He also thought Bill Barr was a great choice. And then I asked pretty much every former prosecutor I know. First of all, they had to get the non-classified documents back. So they went through the 11th Circuit.
Okay,
they got an expedite thing. They got that. Now, I think they have that. Second of all, right now, they are running with this contempt thing, because as soon as Jack got there, he was like, hold these fuckers in contempt for not signing an attestation that they've handed over every classified document. And we just found out today, Judge Beryl Howell, all of the legacy media, said that she denied that contempt motion. She did not. She has not decided on it yet. That is brand new reporting. She went and said, do a little more due diligence. See if you can work this shit out amongst yourselves.
Oh my God. How much more do we need? This has been going 2 years. He took this shit.
She's good.
But you don't want it to be overturned because they didn't go back and try everything that they
I
can
hear
do.
all of that. I hear that. And you also don't want the caution to become the ailment.
But this is from the judge. This is not from the Department of Justice.
I understand.
And she's pretty good, right? Isn't she generally
very good? And she's very fast. But yeah, it is a pain in the ass. And the other thing now is the Department of Justice has said, remember, Judge Beryl Howell ordered Donald Trump to hire private investigators to go and search his properties. And he did that, and they found additional classified documents in a storage unit near Mar-a-Lago. And then the DOJ said, we need the names of your investigators. And Trump filed a motion saying, we don't want to give you the names of the investigators. And the DOJ said, you have to give us the names of the investigators. And they filed another brief. And Judge Beryl Howell also decided, we found out today, that they have to now give the names of the investigators over to the Department of Justice. So the Department of Justice can question these investigators. Are the investigators George Santos and his friend? Like, who are the investigators? We have to know. Otherwise, we can't trust what's going on here. Once all that diligence is due and done, then they will go back and reseat this contempt order. And honestly, all the contempt is to force to file an attestation. But in the meantime, we know from Zoe Tillman's reporting that he is about to make some critical charging decisions. Now, whether that's possibly within weeks. Now, whether that's Walt Nauta or Donald Trump, I don't know. But you still have to, and you guys know this from, you're a mob specialist. You got to get Walt Nauta to flip, and then you got to get Christina Bobb to flip, and then you got to work your way up a little bit. Fortunately, there's not 800 people between these,
Actually, there are examples of going right for the head and not doing that. And those were
like if you find stolen shit at his house,
those were the most successful
but you
convictions.
also start the speedy trial clock.
Hang on.
When
Let
you
me
do
say
that.
this. The most successful convictions in organized crime history, with the biggest fish being put away, came from going right for the head, not rolling shit. Just so everyone's clear about that.
Though, there's just no way, not with this level of.
I'm just letting you know.
Now, the other thing that we have to, and I'm just got to let you guys know, the other thing that's a possibility is that he might wait to indict him for everything, including January 6th, which means
it'll never happen.
No, which means all of it.
That's what that means to me, Allison. It means it'll never happen.
It absolutely doesn't. If it wasn't going to happen, let me tell you something. If they truly didn't want to prosecute this, they wouldn't have brought on a special counsel. What Merrick Garland would have done, what he would have done is he would have gotten a little memo from the Office of Legal Counsel telling him why these aren't prosecutable, and he would have filed that away and never said a word about it, because the Department of Justice is not beholden to tell us why they declined to prosecute, but a special counsel is. He's a closer. He has a history of charging these high-profile cases. He was brought in. I am 100%. I feel it. And I've never said they're going to get Trump now. I've always been like,
you didn't.
Yeah.
But I told you, we sat outside at Keener's house, and I said, once we found out Walt Nauta had told, the FBI that they had video of him moving boxes, and he changed his story, I was like, they signed off on that search warrant, prepared to have to file charges. And once it got close, then they brought in the special counsel to do it, because Garland appointed the opponent of the person being investigated, or was appointed by the opponent of the person being investigated.
Walt Nauta is the person that moved the documents. That's who he is.
The boxes. Yeah, he's the box mover guy.
His name is Nada, like Nada.
Nauta, but yeah, we can call him Nada.
Oh my fuck! Simulation, man. Simulation.
I know. It's gotta be. It has to be. It's 100% a simulation. But I think it, and so I'm wondering if he doesn't save all the indictments for once, which means the quicker indictments would be the documents case, but he might wait for the denominator of the January 6th, and there is more than enough evidence to charge him for January 6th, at least on 371 and 1512C2, defrauding the United States and obstructing official proceeding at the least. There's also many other things, but he might wait to throw them all out at once so that all the cases are prepared. The speedy trial clock has started ticking, but we are now on a timeline, because if it takes more than a year to go to trial, and the reason I've always said that this is going to happen, it has to happen, by the early summer of 2023, is because we are now running into election times.
Oh, Christ, that fucking stupid. I feel like if he does that, if he charges him for everything at once, that's like crossing the streams in Ghostbusters. I might literally spontaneously combust. My head might literally blow up in my. I don't even, because I feel like, again, none of us on this podcast, I hate when people call this a podcast, on this broadcast tonight, are you know, we're all different careers and stuff. We're doing this because we're doing this. And I think we all expected or hoped that Trump would get indicted by now for one of the many, many, many crimes that he's committed.
Yeah.
I didn't
And
think
it's like,
that.
I did. I thought New York
I
State.
did. When I
didn't
started off, I was like, oh, this
I
is going
did
to
not
take 6
expect-
months.
Oh, yeah.
I did
Bragg?
not expect Bragg to that's when I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to be honest with the audience and everybody.
I'm
right now.
with you. I'm with
That's
you on
when
that.
I checked out. I was like, yeah, fuck this. This is, you know, I don't trust any of these motherfuckers ever again. I'm sorry.
When
I
what?
did.
When what?
When Alvin
Bragg.
Bragg
Oh,
sank
Bragg. Yeah,
within
yeah.
a couple weeks of taking office, just sank everything because I know those prosecutors that
Well,
were
it's back
brought
now.
on. Well, let's see.
My
I
friend
know.
said he said so.
I'm
don't
with.
know.
I feel that
She
way
knows.
about Bragg. I'm the. I'll believe it when I see it with Bragg.
Yeah, but at this point I will. And and I had always sort of imagined this as like the end of The Godfather, the baptism scene, but with the good guys like just arresting everybody. So if
Mhm.
that actually happens, I don't even know what I'll do. I don't know. I really don't know what I'll do. I might jump on, go up on my roof and just scream for 4 days without stopping.
Let's run around naked and film it.
I will not do that.
there. No, I will say if there is not an indictment of Donald Trump, then that is that means that certain people are above the law and that the rule of law is over. So, but I just don't think it should have happened by now, and I don't think it's going to happen maybe for another couple months.
Well, we'll see. We got a prediction from Jen Taub, who was here 2 shows back, right before the holiday, of saying it'll be March. So maybe.
My thoughts were January for the documents and April for the fraudulent elector scheme. I don't know.
Well, if it's Thanksgiving and nothing happens, we should start to worry.
Well, actually, if it's like June or July and nothing happens, we should start to worry because then we're running into election time.
I'm going to remind everybody too. We were told back in 2021, around May, June, April, May, June, multiple times, that if it goes to the end of the summer, everyone should be worried.
Just the end of last summer?
Reminder. 2021.
At the end of
by 2 former federal prosecutors.
Yeah, I disagree with all of that.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying we were told at that time.
I think those people are wrong.
Okay.
Okay, so I know you have to go. You have to go in 5 minutes.
6 minutes, yeah.
6 minutes. So we're sensitive to this here. We are capable of hewing to the schedule when we have to. So
guys, I'm very impressed. I can't stick to a schedule for shit. So
we can't either. We got lucky.
Andrew McCabe and I are like, this will be a 30-minute show tops. It's an hour every week.
Yeah, every week. Every week. We go over every week. All right. So let's move on. Let's move on to our next topic. Is that
I want to ask you quickly, and then we will release you.
All right. Ask quick.
Okay. The FBI released, they upped the reward for information about the pipe bomber. There's been a lot of speculation online, which is just speculation that the FBI knows who it is and they're not saying, they're protecting, blah, blah, blah. But the fact that they're now releasing, they're upping the reward means either, in my mind, 1, they want this back in the news because they want to do something, or 2, they have no fucking idea who it is. So what's your take?
No idea. I think they have no idea who it is. And I think that there is an insidious problem within the FBI.
Me too.
It's peppered with insurrectionists and white supremacists. And I think Ray is a problem. And I think Ray needs to be replaced. We're after the midterms. I think he's not cabinet, so it's harder to shake that up. But I don't trust Chris Wray.
Oh
you mean you don't trust the guy that Trump installed after firing the FBI guy that was investigating him?
I know.
No way.
But time out. I wrote a huge thing about Chris Wray and the network that he was connected to.
Mm-hmm.
And I got dragged by DC.
Everybody's going to drag
doing that. And then I went ahead and scraped his former law firm page that they deleted, so that I had all the information to prove that this man at a mid-sized firm in DC for 12 years was the lead corporate counsel for Gazprom.
Hello.
And everybody came after me for, oh, well, that doesn't mean anything. And I begged not to confirm this man. I was screaming on Twitter. I was calling
I
everybody.
remember.
Do not confirm this man. You cannot confirm him. Then all the shit about Chris Christie and that he hid Chris Christie's phone as his attorney and he helped with that bullshit with Bridgegate. And then I found this really corrupt rabbi that he was connected to that all these other motherfuckers were in, including Jared Kushner. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Right? Still told by everybody, called a conspiracist, told I didn't know what I was talking about. I'm going to tell you something. I was right. I was right then. I was right throughout. I am right now. And thank God.
If it's not obvious with the absolute dropping of the ball on the threats to violence leading up to January 6th, then I don't know what is.
And here's the other thing about him and all these appointees, all of them. We couldn't know either way. All we knew is Donald decided that they were his guys. And when we knew that Donald was putting people through loyalty tests. So as soon as the administration changed over, all those motherfuckers should have been gone. Process be damned. History be, fuck that. We had a mobster as a president. Even Mickey Cohn, back in whatever the fuck, when Richard Nixon was running for the fucking presidency after he coming out of California, Mickey Cohen, head of heroin trafficking for the fucking Chicago outfit for the whole West Coast, with Artie Samish being his fucking godfather. Mickey Cohen put out an article from fucking prison, talking to a reporter from prison. This is our guy. Don't put this fucking guy in office. Even Mickey Cohen had more patriotism and more insight. And like, you don't put our guys as president. You don't put him in president. Yeah, we want to corrupt politicians. Yeah, we do all that so we can do our shit, but not as president.
You don't want to draw attention to it.
It's not drawing attention. It's they knew people.
No, I mean you would be drawing attention by putting Donald Trump in. You'd be like,
yeah, but
whoop,
also
whoop, look for crimes here. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
But listen, no, from Mickey, and I believed him. It's from it was a call of patriotism of like, we actually do have a country that needs to be run with people who are vulnerable that need, we have citizens and we have like.
Some people would argue that Nixon was a patriot for resigning.
Yeah.
Well, they can argue all they want, but that motherfucker was owned by the fucking mob.
Make the mob patriotic again. Okay, listen. It is now 6:00 on the West Coast. Allison has to leave.
Okay.
We're professionals here, damn it. We stick to the time. When we say that she needs to leave at this time, we will send her off at this time. Thanks so much for coming on, Allison. The new podcast is called Jack. It's got a great picture. It's you and Andrew McCabe, who's wonderful. Really, everything you need to know about Jack Smith is there. And obviously subscribe to Mueller, She Wrote and the Daily Beans, which is, again, fantastic. Great to see you as always.
Thanks for coming on.
I hope you're doing something fun tonight.
No.
Okay.
Oh, no.
I will not ask you to elaborate. Go watch the vote. Yeah, they're going to vote.
Friday? Oh, my God, it's Friday. Yeah, I'm a Meemaw. I'm probably just going to,
Did you find Bruce Willis?
No, he's still missing.
God damn it, you guys. All right, so Allison's cat went missing again today. Yeah.
He'll come back.
5 days.
He'll come back.
He's been gone for 5 days now.
Oh, honey, I'm sorry to bring it up at the end, but maybe somebody listening or just check her feed, spread it out, spread the words out. I'm sorry, babe.
Just send good vibes. That's all I need.
Send good vibes.
Yeah. We're sending good vibes. Allison, great to see you. Have a good night. Have a good weekend. We'll see you soon.
Love you guys. Everybody.
Love you. Love you, honey.
Okay.
The best. The best. Okay. I feel.
No, she's great. Do you feel better? I
feel
better.
A little bit better.
That's why we wanted her to make her.
I know. I needed her to make
because
me feel
I
better.
think
I really did.
honestly, like people, and by people I mean me. You make certain assumptions in your brain, and I'm constantly trying to no, go back and think, go back and read. Don't assume the worst impulses about this, that, or the other. Everything's very complicated. There's always different motivations for people to do, certain things. Like, for example, the metal detectors. Okay. They
Yeah.
removed the metal detectors. Why did they remove the metal detectors? Everyone's freaking out about it. And then, Grumpy I can never remember her Twitter name. My lawyer friend on Twitter explained the reg, which is no, it was in just the Congress that ended. So they removed them. And that's what they did. And they'll bring them back when they decide to bring them back. And
They're not going to bring them back. Those guys want to carry their guns on the House floor.
yeah, which is
Yeah.
ridiculous. But
It also was wrong to say this was Nancy Pelosi. It wasn't Nancy Pelosi did. I actually think it's she just her term. It ended. So she didn't say take them out now. It was just it ended.
They could have left them, is my point. Like it's like just
Yeah, they
because they had to have them there. It's like they don't take the pews out. They don't take out the fucking windows and the ceiling.
I know.
We have metal detectors everywhere. We have. You go to a nightclub in New York City, you got to go through a fucking metal detector. You're going to go to a place where the speaker is, who's third in line, and just after the 2 years after this shit, they remove those things.
Yeah.
And Mike Flynn is back. We didn't talk. Did we talk about this already? Again, COVID
no, he's
brain.
back on Twitter.
So I went to his page
on the anniversary of January 6th.
Yeah,
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk. Elon Musk, eat it, Elon Musk. You suck. You fuck. You're not even a traitor because you're a South African national who you've never been part of our team here. No. So I went to go look at Mike Flynn's page and he blocked me. And but I think he had blocked me from before. So
I have him blocked, I think. I guess I got to go figure out what his page is and go.
I don't know.
Look.
It's we did well with that. We didn't really talk about the pipe bomber. Gal Suburban has theories about. We have to talk to Gal about this at some point because I don't know what the thinking is. There's a lot of theories about the pipe bomber. It's really weird to me that the FBI hasn't found the person.
I want to say this about it. Let me say a little bit about it.
Yeah, go ahead. DC,
I believe, as a district or any kind of territory in the U.S., has more cameras, more of a camera than per square inch than anywhere else in the United States. And you're telling me that the only footage they could get of this was this person turning two corners and sitting on a bench and rubbing their thoracic outlet syndrome. This is it. This is all we can, you can't get them arriving out of whatever off a train, public transportation, in a car. You can't get them coming out of Comet Pizza in the bathroom or wherever the fuck they decide to change their goddamn clothes and
not Comet Pizza.
You can't get them. I'm just spitting out ideas here. You can't you can't find the origins of where the oranges of where they came from and then where they went to. We don't have the beginning, middle, and the end of the walking and the planting of the bombs. Maybe we're just not getting that footage and they're only showing us little bits and pieces. Go to 724 on Flint's timeline. It's hilarious. Oh wait, hang on. What's Jim telling us to do?
Jim, I can't.
Oh yeah, we're blacked. It sounds like a great idea, but no.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Here's Celery 08. Yeah. Any houses? This person's not walking out a stoop?
Somebody did a really long, and I believe it was the guy Jack Brown, who does the body language thing. I believe he had a really good thread about putting together all the stuff that we know about who the pipe bomber has to be.
I think
somebody that lives
right?
in DC that's familiar with the area. I'm pretty sure it was him that did it. So anyway, it's interesting to me because this is another thing that I kind of thought, oh, maybe this is going to be revealed at some point. It's something they know. No, they don't know. They don't know.
Not with Chris Ray in charge.
No, Chris Ray blows. Fuck you, Chris Ray.
Fuck you, Chris Ray.
Axe Ray. I wrote this a long time ago.
That feels good to be able to say that.
No, you were years after you, but still.
I saw that name pop up and I went bananas back in 2017.
Yeah,
no way.
You did. You've never, I don't think you've ever even wavered on him.
Never wavered.
Actually.
I was willing to say, okay, I'm willing to be wrong. I accept it. I'm not going to just grind an axe on this forever. I'll wait and I'll see if everybody's telling me I don't know what I'm talking about. Fine.
Yeah.
Guess what? I know what I'm fucking talking about.
Yeah.
That guy's got to go.
He's got to go.
Gotta go.
Okay, it's time for announcements. Again, I have COVID. I'm a little bit. I should write down the people that signed up. I want to thank everybody again for everybody that signed up that is a member. We are going to do a special private show at some point, kind of soon. We hope that again, this has been a rough couple of weeks for me personally. So thank you for standing
Yeah.
by, because we would have done something on Christmas and stuff like that. You know,
How
we're
are
gonna
you
do
doing?
some.
You're doing okay, right? Let everybody know.
Yeah, I'm doing fine. And you know,
Yeah.
lots of people. For those that don't know, you know, between last show and this show, my dad died.
Um,
Which sounds, I'm joking about it, but it was obviously awful. But he died on New Year's Eve, and I was there that morning. So you know, it's good to close out the year, I guess. And he'd been sick for 3 years and suffering, and
yeah.
you know, it was a good, it was an end of the suffering, which is good. And my mom had a
Right.
lot of time with him to kind of process what was happening. And so this week was the wake and the funeral. And again, all that happened in the news was this fucking these idiots.
Was these idiots on the House floor?
These
Yeah,
idiots on
and
the House floor.
you guys got that whole. I was talking to a friend of ours about of you and I's about the ritual, the Catholic ritual of death
Yeah.
is really wise.
We
There's a
do.
tremendous wisdom because
They do death well.
you do a lot around it. There's a lot to where you get to the other side of it and you feel like, okay, we did it, right?
Yeah.
We get it. And so there was wisdom in that. Anyway, we don't have to linger there. I just wanted
No.
to
And thank you for
thinking
bringing
about
this.
it.
Also, I got so many nice notes from people. It was sort of
Yeah.
overwhelming, and I'm trying to write everybody back, and I think I have, but if I didn't, please accept my apologies and thank you. Like everybody that wrote me, it was just really wonderful and made me feel very supported and
Good.
cared for, and I appreciate it.
Good.
I know my dad would appreciate it. So
Quick pivot here. You saw I put Gal Suburban and get you out of that. Gal Suburban on here. Ivan Reichland, Flynn operative.
okay.
That's her guess, I think, to answer that. The bomber thing. Is that bomber, Gal? What are we talking about? I think that's
We don't know. We don't know what it is, and we're not going to say. She's
not
just
gonna
saying
say.
that he's a funny guy. That's all she's saying.
He's a weird guy.
Yeah. He's a
Yeah.
funny guy who wears hoodies and Nike shoes. Is all she's saying. That's it. That's all she means. You know, we're not
Okay.
implying that guy is in
No,
any way
we're
connected
not.
with
For
anything.
God's sakes. We're
No.
not investigators.
Why would we think that?
Yeah.
So okay, do we have any more announcements? I have to. We did the White Lotus winner, Kate Willett. We need to give you your thing. So please write me so that we can get your address and send you your prize. Because I feel bad because I'm gonna forget. I have COVID brain, and I need to close everything. We don't want to promise to do things and not do them.
I know. And on that note, there's another one. I have Ginny and the clerks ready to send to someone who
Right.
sent me that they think they can record that song for us at karaoke, and I can't find it. I cannot find that you forwarded it to me, that email. So whoever that is, please email Greg again at your Prevail email, right? That's up there. And so that we can get to you, because
Yeah, it's
I
my name at
cannot find
Gmail.
that.
It's easy. It's not complicated.
It's not complicated.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Good.
okay. Moving on. Okay, now we've done. I'm supposed to. I know that I'm supposed to like say these and say it's topic number 2, and I've done a really terrible job of this. Perhaps because I've changed them to REM songs. Wake Up Bomb is the bomber. Get it?
That was a bummer. We did it. Yeah.
Yeah, we did the bomber. Okay, now it's Shiny
we
Happy
did
People,
Allison.
which is ironic because number 5 we're talking about Jared Kushner.
We got to talk about Jared Kushner, you guys. Yeah.
Okay.
By the way, you've been on really on fire with your writing. It's great, Greg. That's the Prevail. So we had
Thank
the
you.
beautiful piece you wrote for your dad, and then you went we got into the 23 for 23, right? The
Yeah.
worst fucking people in 2023. And I knew as soon as I saw that, and you said, I'm going to do this. And I was like, oh, it's going to be Jared Kushner number 1. There's not going to be anyone else that's going to occupy that space. And just so everybody knows, you and I talk about him, I would say at least once, if not twice a week when we talk.
Yeah.
One of us goes on a rant about this guy. It bothers us both so profoundly that this tool of a human being, this horrible, wretched boy man, whatever he is just breezing his way all around the planet still. Just not a care in the world. No one can touch him. Talk about above the law. Talk
Yeah.
about above the law. This guy. What did I say on Twitter for years? I was like, why is Donald afraid of him?
Yeah, you did. You
Why
did. I
is
forgot
that?
about
Who
that.
the
Yeah.
fuck is this guy? Why could he, when they were in office and he got this, Donald gave him a security clearance? Why? Why? Why did Donald stick his neck out for Jared Kushner all the time? Why? And he took credit. Jared took credit for everything that they could sort of position as going well or doing great, even shit that they had nothing to do with. If it was something to take credit for, Jared took credit for it. Snatched that from Donald. When does Donald let anybody snatch fucking credit away? And then anytime Jared fucked up, anything went bad, nothing to do with him. He's Mideast peace guy, right? He's
Abraham Accords.
the Abraham, yeah.
Oh, so important.
Like
So
what
important.
the fuck? Who is this guy? I have never believed that he was a real American. I'm sorry, I'm going to say it. I have never believed that he was this. Something's going on here that is beyond. And
Well,
just as we knew, as Alex Acosta said with Jeffrey Epstein, I was told not to touch him because he belonged to intelligence. There's a certain kind of creature with certain kinds of backing and information that is able to be above the law. And I cannot, for the life of me, put Jared Kushner in any other category in my own mind other than that. That's the bucket. This guy's an operative. I'm sorry. In my opinion, I don't like it. And he's still free. He's 1 million people are dead. We know that there were
that's
1
the
million
thing.
deaths. Go, Greg. I
Yeah,
can't get over this guy. I
That's
really
the thing.
can't.
And again, he's not foreign. He grew up in Livingston, New Jersey, which is 20 minutes from where my parents live, where I grew up. And you go to the Livingston Mall where I used to go in high school, and there's the Kushner Academy there, which his father paid for, or his grandfather. I think his father, one of them.
No, it's
And
his grandfather and his
grandfather.
uncle,
Yeah.
who his
And
mother, his grandmother loved more than his dad. I'm going to say that. That's also my guess, but I know that gets under their skin. I know that gets under their skin.
His father was a Democratic, big guy in New Jersey state politics, and was involved with the governor and McGreevey and this whole thing.
Back when organized crime had its grip over the Democratic Party, yes.
Yes. So he's this guy. And what I don't understand about it is the way that I made my list and tried to narrow it down was I went by body count. How much death is someone directly responsible for? And we have to keep saying this. COVID-19 killed 1 million Americans. Now, some of those, if we had a really if the Biden people were in charge when that happened, people would have died, but not like this.
Not taking ivermectin.
It would have
Or
been a
drinking
lot,
bleach.
and not Kushner. And this is reporting by Catherine Eban. I know people know this, but I'm going to say it again because we have to keep saying it. In Vanity Fair, Catherine Eban reported he convened a shadow council of his buddies to try to figure out a pandemic response. And his buddies actually were like, they came up with one that was fine, that would have worked better than what they did. And Kushner at the time looked at what was happening, saw that people were dying in New York, New Jersey, and California, blue states, and thought that deaths there could be blamed on the governors of those states and would help Trump's re-election campaign. Now, Jared Kushner, as mentioned, is from New Jersey. His parents live in New Jersey. His family is from New Jersey. He lived in New York. That's where he's from. And his brother lives in California. So this motherfucker, this evil, soulless ghoul, was willing to just throw all of those people to the wolves for power. That's what he was willing to do. And this fucking week, what we found out, this was the news. This is why this is a topic.
That's right.
I forget how this even came out in the J6 things, but Kushner, during the transition, ordered that when the Biden people came in who were going to be dealing with the pandemic, should we share information with them? Kushner said, absolutely not. Why the fuck would you do that? What petty butcher of a failed human, of an evil succubus fucking demon would do that. Because all that does is make more people die. That's all it does.
Death and profound illness and lasting illness.
Suffering. And yet the media never fucking calls him on it. And I know he's got the fucking PR agent. Who's this fucking PR agent? Fucking God? Jehovah? Come on.
Maggie
He's
Haberman
on every
Vaughn.
show with his ridiculous book. His book is a joke. I read the free part on Amazon. It's horribly written. And he clearly wrote it himself. Nobody else would write something this bad, right? And he's on the shows like he legitimately believes he's some great statesman or something. He takes the $2 billion from the Saudis, and now he's at the World Cup in Qatar with fucking Elon Musk on his knees with his mouth open before the fossil fuel money.
Yeah.
Who is this guy? How much fucking money do you need, Jared? What's wrong with you?
Maybe it's not about money. Maybe it's about leveraging people.
I don't know, but he's an evil man. And in 2018, I wrote an article about the crimes that he'd already committed. Remember Ted Lieu every day would talk about how he violated if you lie on the SF-86 form, it's I think 5 or 10 years?
5 years.
Yeah, he lied 3 times. So that's 15. Why the fuck isn't he in jail just for that? And the problem is when we let the fucking criminals go, the crimes just escalate. If we had put him in jail for that, which was clearly a crime, he would not have been around to run this thing, and 1 million Americans might still be alive. That's it. It's a fucking disgrace. And it's an indictment of our media. It's an indictment of, look, Merrick Garland, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what the fuck. Arrest this guy. I don't get it. There's many crimes you can choose from. And people in the street should be furious with him. If you need a face and a person to blame for death from this disease, it is his. He's responsible, period. Trump wasn't fucking in charge.
I wonder how much energy he may have invested and resources and friends he may have had invest in the anti-Fauci propaganda narrative and all of that.
He's trying to deflect blame. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that seems like, that would be in his wheelhouse to do.
Yeah, and he has, remember,
Who knows?
when
We don't
Pecker
know.
went away.
As far as we know, no one's investigating him. Even though it was like a little hint, maybe he's being investigated.
Please. No, he was being, how maybe was looking at it. It's not
going to happen.
The 2 billion, whatever. He was monetizing death and suffering. That's what he was doing.
Yeah.
And his grandmother, who escaped from that concentration camp, would be fucking appalled to hear this, that her grandson is a fucking Nazi. Because that's what he is. Disgusting. Disgusting, Jared. Disgusting. I don't have anything to say. He just pisses me off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, from one Jersey boy to the next, so you get to have that, little bit of authority there. Fuck that guy. Oh,
I mean, really, there he is. He's just acting like everything's fine. Nothing's fine. And I hope the American people, anywhere this motherfucker goes for the rest of his life, boo him and hiss him and tell him to fuck off.
Yeah.
And call him a murderer and a genocidal maniac.
Yeah.
Don't let him eat at dinner.
He has a lot of very fancy friends, and they all seem to be perfectly fine with this. So what I can tell you about that fancy set is, as soon as you make them uncomfortable in their little fancy environments, they'll cut him loose. Like, you can't even imagine how quick that shit will happen. He'll be fucking cut loose. And then, I don't know whether Ivanka is going to divorce him or not. There's all those rumors that were flying around today, but she won't stick with him if he doesn't keep giving her access into the rarefied air that his brother and supermodel sister-in-law continue to curate for them. This is, because Ivanka has her own tentacles and her own relationships into that set of Nepo kids that are all in their 40s now. So she's not going to want to give that up. They don't want to give up their fancy friends. I promise you this. And those fancy friends do not want baggage trailing them that has people booing them in the street when they're walking on wherever they're walking, or they're stepping off a yacht. Here, look who agrees with me. the guru. Jack!
Just treat him like dog shit. If he shows up with your fancy, be like, I smell dog shit.
Yeah, it's
Did you
going to
bring
be
dog
up to
shit on
other
your shit?
fancy people because it's hard to get access into those areas. This is going to have to happen at very expensive restaurants. It's going to have to happen in stores for shopping. It's going to have to happen in ports where the yachts are. But it can happen. We could start a wave. Let's start that, Greg Olear.
No. If he comes
Let's
back,
start a
for all we know,
movement,
he's still
like
in
the ice
Qatar.
bucket challenge. It's the Jared hollering at Jared challenge. Like, if
Is
you
he
spot
still-
this fucking guy,
Is he even in the country? Is he
Who
over
knows?
in
I
the
don't
Middle
know.
East? Is he ever coming back?
I don't know.
He's like subletting Eric Prince's like duplex or something.
Probably in Dubai. Yeah, he'll end up in Dubai or China.
Yeah.
He'll be going back and forth between Dubai and China. That
Yeah.
guy.
Disgusting. Just disgusting human.
Yeah.
1 million dead. 1 million fucking
Million
people
dead.
are dead because of him. And
Yeah.
nobody cares. Nobody in the media
Okay.
gives a flying fuck about
No,
this.
because they might get a book deal.
Oh, book deal.
And so you don't want to threaten that. You don't want to threaten that power. Powerful PR firms and PR families, there's no attorney-client privilege there. There's no PR client privilege. So I had this fantasy at some point that they could all be. I don't know how to get Chunk off of. Oh, wait, here, Chunk, ruin him. Wait. There we go. That you could, if you hauled those guys in front of subpoenaed them and hauled them in front of a committee and put them under oath, they'd have to answer. I mean, I guess you can plead in front of Congress or whatnot. Not that this Congress will do any of that. Maybe the Senate. We'll see. Maybe the Senate can get some good investigations going into what the fuck happened during the COVID response. That would be amazing.
And the PPP, a lot of money.
And the
got lost.
PPP. And Steve Mnuchin. Everyone's forgotten about Steve Mnuchin.
Right. Well, he only took 1 billion from the Saudis.
Oh, only
You have
one.
to take 2 billion. Nobody gives a fuck about any. It's just it's a disgrace. All we can talk about is how many votes will we get this time? Who gives a shit? Just alert me when it's done.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Well, on this J6 2-year anniversary, we're still trying to hold the line. Are we?
Well,
Is it
let's hope that
working?
we're not back here a year from now talking about, well, Jack Smith did indict. He indicted, I don't know, who's slightly higher up the food chain. I don't even know. Maybe somebody that already got indicted and then pardoned.
I mean,
like
here's
Roger
it.
Stone?
Like, would we feel satisfied with Mike Flynn and it
No.
ended all there?
No.
We wouldn't, right?
I would like, Mike Flynn does have it's not like he's not a convicted
It'd be
felon.
nice to take that guy out
Yeah.
off the market for a little bit. Silence that voice in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I think it would be good to arrest Mike Flynn. I think arresting
Mike Flynn. All right.
Yeah,
All right.
arresting
But that's
Mike
not
Flynn would be fun. No, I'm gonna hold to my fantasy of the Godfather baptism scene, which I've held to for
Okay.
quite some time now. But we have to dream big. It's a new year, LB. It's 2023.
And my fire extinguisher works. So our emergency services maybe will be there for us. We don't know. You don't know till you roll over them accidentally with your leather chair. But they're there. They work.
They're
Let's hope that everything comes. I guess the theme of this show was, get the bad guys.
Yeah,
The
please.
traitors are easy to spot.
They are. Mob. Yes, they are. They are. Okay. I guess that's it. Do you have anything else to say? Any other final notes? I mean, yeah.
No,
I'm
I'm
so
gonna stick
bad.
around-
I'm bad with the wrap up of the show.
You can't wrap up this show.
I
You
just
really can't do
like
it.
everybody. I'm having a good time. I'm like, everything's fun. Do we really want to go? But it's time.
All right, here's what I say to everybody. Have a great week. Be good. Stay on the side of the light. And we'll see you in 7 days.
We will. Take care.
Good night, everyone.